Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of the Vacay podcast. It's all about getting away. It's all about alternative medicine approaches to wellness and interesting techniques. I'm your co-host, Ryan Alford. Also joined by my co-host, Chris Hansen in Miami. We're joined today by holistic medical expert, scalar energy researcher, and just a damn good humanitarian, Tom Paladino. What's up, Tom?
Hi, Ryan. Chris, pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Hey, we like to get underneath everything that is alternative that shouldn't be alternative, and something tells me we're going to get down that path pretty heavy today.
Yes, we are.
Chris, how's Miami?
Energy.
How's Miami, Chris?
Miami is great. You can see the sun is shining on this beautiful day. Apologies to the audience. Typically, we record a little later in the day where we don't have the sun coming in, but it's all right. It's for an episode speaking on energy. The sun's making an appearance.
Yes. Well, Tom, I know you're on a personal mission to make a difference in the world. So let's get at it. Let's talk what Tom's beliefs are, and let's get after some scalar energy research.
Okay, thank you once again for the invite. So we're going to speak about Tesla energy or scalar energy. What am I referring to? Scalar energy is not electricity. It's the energy of the sun and the stars. And I've developed scalar energy instruments that allow me to control that free energy from the sun and the stars. So if I can extrapolate my work, not only will I be able to harness the free energy of the sun and the stars, but someday I can broadcast that and deliver that energy at a distance. I can prove that locally. I can prove that in my laboratory right now with my instruments. So these instruments are now functioning right behind me. These are scalar energy instruments.
I have a question for you, Tom. Is this what the pyramids were for? Were they energy generators?
Yes. The pyramids captured scalar energy. What's peculiar about so many pyramids is that they can harness that scalar form, that waveform, not necessarily electricity. So many of the pyramids are capacitors, reservoirs for scalar energy.
Okay.
So they were doing this thousands of years ago, or hundreds of, thousands of years ago. So, but some reason it got bottled up and we don't use it now.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Tesla rediscovered scalar energy, so to speak. He was the first man to harness scalar energy. And if you look at his scalar energy instruments, there's no moving parts. He simply captures the energy from the sun and the stars.
I hear about the quantum stuff all the time. It's more in the, seemingly like metaphysical discussion. It's rarely, which is why we wanted to have you on. It's fascinating to talk about the energy side of it. And I know it's all sort of energy, but a lot of these guys, I don't know. It was kind of, Chris and I were having this talk yesterday. We have some of these alternative medicine people, and in our attempts to make, alternative medicine not alternative, some of the people promoting these things don't really help the science and or the things because they're seemingly fit the stigma. And it's kind of the same thing like with quantum. Like when I hear people talk about it, and not in the way that you are, Tom, it's more science, I feel like, what we're getting into. But it's, the quantum realm, man. Man, we're talking the quantum. And I'm like, is this Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or are we talking like real world shit,
Good. I'm a scientist. I'm going to approach this from a scientific viewpoint with engineered instruments that can duplicate my results.
So I'm interested what even got you into this? You've been in it for years, and we were speaking before the show. I think I learned 6 years ago about Tesla, free energy, essentially that, all of his work was confiscated. But now I'm noticing this is becoming a lot more common knowledge. Like people are realizing, and maybe it's because of you have, Tesla car company kind of just people are Googling more. But you've been in this game before it was a real mainstream topic, I would say. So what got you into this? And then tell us a little about what your work is. Like what exactly it is you do on a day to day.
Tesla fired my imagination when I was a youngster. And I realized when I was reading his books, this is back in the 70s and 80s, that he was able to tap into the free energy. I knew that he was no longer working with electricity at that time. He was working with what he called radiant energy, or what I call scalar energy. And it's so much easier because electricity, you have to manufacture it, generate it. Whereas scalar energy, you just tap into the sun and the stars. So what am I getting at? The sun and the stars are the power plant. You don't need to create, build, manufacture a power plant. Just tap into sun energy, star energy.
So what would be the difference of what you're talking about in, say, solar panels? Everyone's getting solar on their roofs down here in Florida right now.
Yep.
It seems to be the big thing. Maybe so, I think that's palatable for the audience if they don't know anything about this. Is that comparable? Is that similar technology? Or how would you describe that?
It's comparable in the sense that both energies are now being derived from the sun. However, with solar panels, you're still working with the electromagnetic spectrum. It's still a reservoir, some type of DC current. As opposed to scalar energy, it's an entirely different dimension. It's not electricity. And with, if you will, scalar energy does not experience any entropy. It never fades. It never dies off, which has electricity, whereas electricity will die off. It does experience entropy. So the point being, if we use scalar energy, that source is unlimited and the signal never fades. There is no entropy.
What to that point?
So I think
so with solar, if the sun's not out, you don't have any energy being generated or created. Is scalar work in that same way? Like the sun and the stars have to be out to be producing whatever energy it is producing?
No. To answer your question, no, because nothing can block scalar energy. Let me show you my instrument that's functioning, and I'll show you an experiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing can impede the energy. I'm going to hold in my hand a light bulb, a fluorescent light bulb. When I pass this light bulb close to the instrument, the light bulb illuminates.
Wow.
That plastic packaging cannot prevent this light bulb from illuminating. I'm going to show you another experiment. I'm going to hold in my hand a wooden board. This wooden board will not impede the scalar signal. So I place that wooden board by the instrument. Once again, I take my light bulb. The light bulb illuminates.
Wow.
Wooden board cannot prevent the signal from reaching the light bulb.
What kind of light bulb is that?
Fluorescent light bulb.
Oh, it's just a normal, everyday fluorescent light bulb.
Yep. So
where's
point?
your assistant, David Copperfield? I mean, Tom.
You can see now the beginning promise of this.
Yes.
That again, Tesla could do the same. I can take light bulbs and illuminate them.
That's so wild.
That's
this
crazy.
Is free energy. Obviously, there's no electrical wire. I'm holding this in my hand. There's no electrical wire.
No hidden
There's
wires.
no artifice here, right? It illuminates under the influence of a scalar instrument. In that force field is a scalar energy force field that's not electromagnetic. That force field is entirely different than that of the electromagnetic dimension. There's two energies, there's two dimensions. This is the other dimension quantum dimension, spirit dimension. It's non-physical.
That's truly amazing. I mean, I'm thinking of the applications.
How much?
Like you could have.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm seeing this with my own eyes. It's not a UFO. It's actually working. Like, talk to me about like the reality of what it takes to bring, speaking of scale, bringing this to scale and bringing this to market. Like, what is the device that's behind the scalar force field? Whatever it is. Why is it this being scaled and brought to light, pun intended, and what does it cost? Is there, a lot of times, and the same thing with solar energy, like it's getting more affordable, but the manufacturing process, the amount of panels needed, all the stuff to make this viable, energy for billions of people. Sometimes there's these wonderful ideas and these opportunities, but the potential to scale it and what it takes to really make it happen isn't viable. Like, so talk about the viability here.
Okay, so keep in mind, if we can illuminate a light bulb locally, right, then we eventually can transmit that energy without wires, without substations, without satellites, without cell phone towers, without any induction motor, et cetera, et cetera. So what's the point? To answer your question, the universe provides the infrastructure. It's the ether, what Tesla called the medium, the ether. So you don't need an infrastructure. From this laboratory, I can send this energy anywhere in the galaxy. I don't need wires and infrastructure. I don't need substations. I don't need telephone poles.
Is there a limitation as far as like the size of your machine? Like I've seen the Tesla pictures of, it was like looked like a cell phone tower essentially on his invention. I don't know what it was called. Like the one you had behind you is, looks like a Siri. You're saying that can go across the world?
Tesla had and I'll tell you why. Once you're in that dimension, scalar energy, everything is connected. You see, with the electromagnetic dimension, you deliver a signal by cycles per second frequency, and you deliver energy. It takes time. With scalar energy, the energy pre-exists everywhere. So you're not delivering from point A to point B. There's no cycles per second. So this continuum is the medium of the universe. You don't travel from point A to point B because point A and point B are the same point.
Wow.
Everything
This is really deep for 9:30.
What's that, Ryan?
This is really deep for 9:30. I know that's not early necessarily, but it's early for...
I was going to say, I think my experience with psychedelics has made this more palatable for me, where it clicks a lot more than it maybe would have pre those experiences.
Yeah, maybe that's what I needed.
Maybe, dude, you need to tap into the other dimensions.
I know. Tom, but so why hasn't... Okay, there's a lot of smart people out there. And Elon Musk strikes me as someone that would love to blow people's fucking mind about this if it existed and it was viable and he could make a shit ton of money on it and look like the coolest man on the planet. So why hasn't that happened?
I don't know. I don't hide my work by any means.
Yeah.
And I want to present my research. I'm a humanitarian. I want to help people. But I would say after the past 12 years of going public with this, I've been public now with my work, that I've been suppressed, that the powers that be will not allow this to flourish. The algorithms are against me, so to speak.
Right. I mean, if you're looking at the industry this would disrupt, obviously oil and gas, huge opponent of yours, I would imagine. Yep. All the power companies. I mean, this would render oil and gas. Would this make nuclear power irrelevant as well?
It would make all current energy models obsolete. Let's put that word out there, obsolete. Why? Because they're expensive, they're dangerous, and they're hard to administer, which this is free. It's easy to administer. You don't need an infrastructure. You don't
is it strong enough to power my hot tub? You know, you gotta have to have like 220, you know, like on that shit. Like, so
eventually it will be. Once God gives me the wisdom to start using this to power the world, I'll let you know, Ryan.
I think a great example, is all the Tesla cars, right? And everyone's like, oh, it's good for the environment. Not thinking about all the mining, you know, that happens for the car batteries.
Yeah.
All the charging state. Like, it's almost like it's not actually good for the planet because we're still destroying the planet, you know, creating these things. But I'm just thinking how amazing it would be to have a car that you never have to plug in, you never have to charge, and just completely runs off this.
I just wish cell phone companies would get it. Like, let's start small. If we could just not have to plug this device in 3 times a day, man, that'd be practical.
So the point is this. We have to switch from the electromagnetic spectrum to the scalar spectrum. For instance, sometimes when I place my phone close to the Tesla coil, the signal is obliterated. I cannot receive a cell phone call. Why? The scalar energy overrides the electromagnetic energy. So those two energies do not work hand in hand. You can have one or the other. So I've seen this with my instrument. A cell phone cannot operate in this laboratory. So what's the point? We have to start with a new paradigm, a new model, in which we will have scalar energy cell phones, not electromagnetic.
Scalar. So, Tom, let's transition a bit to wellness. And the power of scalar with, you know, I've read your stuff, you know, ability to generate our own nutrients, to self-heal. You know, I guess we're starting to get down that path of, you know, the quantum being more internalized and those kind of things. But talk to me about the potential there and what all goes into that.
Okay. So keep in mind, I'm not working with electricity. So how does this instrument work? With a photograph of a person. This is my photograph. My photograph has scalar energy attached to it. Everything in the universe has energy. If I were to place my photograph inside the instrument, it would enjoy a chakra balancing. What do I mean by that? There's so much energy. It's as if that chakra balancing would download into my brain waves and into my chakras by way of my photograph. So whatever I could do in person, I can likewise do in substitution by way of a photograph. A photograph of a person is their bilocated version. Now, I never work with people. I work in the quantum realm, the non-physical realm, through the photograph. It's the photograph that receives the energy.
So are you saying that's transition? Like, I want to make sure I'm processing this the right way. So are you telling me that you could send good vibes to your photograph and they come to you?
Yes.
I mean, I'm simplifying for the audience. Good vibes being, you know.
Let me use this analogy. When you speak into a phone, a cell phone, it's not your voice, it's a modulation of your voice. And when that voice comes out in somebody's earpiece, you're not in their ear. It's their energy, so to speak. It's their modulated energy. So a photograph is modulated energy. I can communicate with people by way of a cell phone, or we're having a video conversation. Hey, gentlemen, you're not in my laboratory. I'm not in your office. It's your image that is shared. And a photograph is an image that is shared. So this is the new physics in which we transcend time and space. Time and space are not relevant. A photograph represents a person as if I was inside that instrument physically.
This reminds me of, I think it's an old wives' tale, that basically every time you take a photograph, you lose part of your soul. And it's so that to me kind of clicks with this, where
no wonder
part
I'm
of your
soulless.
energy is, I know, Ryan, you're too popular. You got too many photos of you out there. Maybe you need to send Tom a photograph. I
want Tom to whisper a secret into his photograph's ear, and then I want his photograph to send it to me. I saw the light working, Tom. I saw the light working, but I'm a skeptic, just like the UFOs. Until I gotta see it, I gotta feel it, I gotta you gotta beam it to me to believe it.
Okay.
The light bulb was incredible, but if that photograph could talk to me, I'm fucking believing.
So pursuant to that, and I don't blame you, I offer everybody in the world 15 days of free session. Now, this is unique. What I'm doing has never been done before. How do I prove it? By proving it to the people, giving away 15 days of free sessions.
All right. What happens during those sessions?
During those sessions, for 15 days now, we'll balance your chakras, right? If I can illuminate a light bulb, then I can illuminate your mind and your chakras. That's one function. The next function, I'm able to program this instrument to detect bacteria. This is a photograph of streptococcus, for instance. I'm able to program this instrument with photographs of microbes and then bring those microbes to a state of chaos. That's the second function. Then I'm able to program the instrument with photographs of vitamins or minerals. That's a photograph of riboflavin, and download the energy of vitamins into me. So it's a chakra balancing,
so cool,
a microbe eradication cleanse, and a vitamin nutrient program. All of that is done by way of information. This is not a biochemical process. It's the quantum process. It's information. If my cell phone is quantum information, I'm not in the instrument of the cell phone. And you're not inside that instrument behind me. It's your photograph that's communicating.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know it'd be a good test of this, Tom? We do what you just described, but we use it with a Vacay product. And if you can take one of our gummies and download it inside of Chris or I so that we feel the effects without actually taking it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to offer you both 15 days of free sessions, as I do to anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And after 15 days of free sessions, these instruments are operating 24 hours a day. You're going to be energized. You're going to feel the energy.
Now, all right, can we film this and can we document all of this, the 15 days?
You can document it. Yeah, you can document it. Every day I come into my laboratory and I treat people. It's rather cut and dry.
Do I have to come there or do we have to do it here? Oh, boy.
No.
But this is content gold right here.
Photograph.
Yes.
I want your feedback after the 15 days of free session. That's what I want. And let's see how you feel. And then thereafter, maybe your audience can provide testimonies likewise. Keep in mind, this has never been done before. So nobody has my instrument. Nobody's duplicated my results. What is my point? We have to rely upon testimonies.
Yes. Yes, we do.
So what are can you share some, stories of people you worked with or success, like you feel like your biggest wins using this technology to help people, in like a medical sense or healing?
Yep. So when I work with these instruments, I always work with photographs of microbes. Let me explain. There's no guesswork. I'm holding up a photograph of the herpes virus. And if I match that photograph with my photograph, remember, this is quantum. This is communication. The two photographs communicate just like two cell phones communicate. So the herpes virus is sending information in the quantum field into my photograph.
Oh, no. Tell me you didn't get herpes from the photo, Tom.
By placing those two photographs in the quantum field, there's a sharing of information. That's all. It's not biochemical.
Okay.
The herpes virus is rendered to a state of chaos. It's disrupted in the quantum field. through that process. Now, does it work? Well, I have to rely upon people. I'm going to show you a PCR test from somebody who attests that after we work with this individual with the scalar energy instrument, they no longer have a viral load for herpes.
Interesting.
These are the testimonies that I have to rely upon. No viral load after being infected with the herpes virus for 10 years, no viral load. Now,
that's a big moneymaker virus too for the pharma companies.
Yeah. And Chris, I mean, you'd be a good subject here with all the STDs you have. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
You know me.
Bad joke. But you know, Tom introduced the herpes, you know.
So go ahead, Tom.
What is the point? When I work with energy, I think this is obvious. Energy is immutable. Energy does not make mistakes. It's a fundament. It's a primal force. Now, if I work with my photograph, that's a source of light, and that there's no mistake with my photograph. So this instrument, a scalar energy instrument, can send information into my photograph. It's mistake-proof. There is no mistake. Hence, my instrument will carry out the function that I ask of it. If I ask this instrument to find bacteria in my quantum field, it will, and eliminate it, bring it to a state of chaos. I have found the fail-proof technique to work in the quantum field. There's no mistake with energy.
Tom, how do you talk with the scalar? I mean, if it's you know, we're crossing the boundaries here clearly of the physical versus metaphysical versus spiritual, right. And so at some level we're all, I'm pretty sure, in the physical world. This is a TV show, and you know, I'm not convinced that is you know, possibility. But talk to me how you translate physical to metaphysical with the scalar.
Scalar energy is metaphysical. It's non-physical. There's not a proton involved. It's pure information or spirit, as opposed to electricity where you have some type of electron force field. So in this realm of scalar energy, it's information, intelligence, consciousness, Christ consciousness. People use different terms. It's entirely non-physical.
Question: how long did it take you to prototype your machine, your device? I mean, how long did it take to kind of perfect that? And where did you even know to start?
I was fortunate enough in 1993 to meet an American family, the Hieronymus family. At that time, they were living in Georgia, and they were developing these instruments. So I copied the Hieronymus family. The initial inventor was Galen Hieronymus. He is deceased. His family has likewise passed. There's nobody who remains in the Hieronymus family. So I modified his approach, and I have to give him credit. He's the initial inventor.
Wow.
So, Tom, have you cured yourself of like any possible disease that you might get? So, like, there's no way you're going to die?
Let me say this. I'm confident that every time I work with this instrument, I can identify and eradicate microbes. That's my specialty: viruses, bacteria, fungi. I feel excellent. My health is excellent. And in part, I attribute that to the fact that on a daily basis, I'm working with myself with these energy instruments. I let people speak for themselves. And I have to, because obviously they're not in my laboratory. And for me to guess as to how they feel at a distance, I've never worked with anybody in person. For me to guess would be inappropriate. So that's why on my website I have 4,000 testimonies. There's a testimony from a group in India. This is a group called Om Prakash. It's an HIV/AIDS clinic in Delhi, India. And after working with these people, many people say they feel better. Some of these people have gone as far as to send us a PCR test. And the PCR test shows no viral load for HIV. That is dependent upon the people that I work with. I cannot vouch for them.
Do you think there's a level of, like, say I'm working with you, is there a level of belief people need to have, like, that this is working?
Not necessarily. I treat dogs and cats and pets, and the dogs, the cats, and pets usually have a favorable outcome.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So,
how does this? I mean, where does this go, Tom? You know, you've been doing this. I heard 93. It's, I don't know. My rough math tells me that's 30 years. And it's not. This isn't mainstream. We're talking about totally alternative things. And obviously, I get the testimonials, and you know, someone like Chris vouching for this would help you. But where does it go? Like, what would 100x this thing? Like, is it just more like government giving you $1 billion to like take it to the next?
No.
You know,
no,
like
I don't want to work with government.
I know. Maybe okay, an investor.
In all jest, I appreciate your humor. Where does this go? Well, it's grassroots. It has to be. I want to eliminate all the corruption in the world, and that includes some governments, corporations, and nefarious individuals.
sure.
I can scale this easily. What do I mean? Today in my laboratory, I was working with 500,000 photographs. People from around the world have sent us 500,000 photographs. This is just a collage, an example. So if one person, and myself as a researcher and a small group of support, can work with 500,000 people a day, if the world gets involved, eventually we'll work with 5-10 million people a day. It can easily scale. The impediment is the education. Or I should say the impediment after the education would be the suppression from certain sources.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I'm just trying to figure out, like, if this is just an investment. Like, do you need more and larger scalar devices? And
No.
Okay.
No. From this laboratory, I could work with 8 billion photographs a year. I could work with everybody in the world through their photographs.
How do you?
Wow.
How do you do 500? How many a day did you say? Like, how do you?
500,000. I miniaturize them. I have a certain technique that I haven't made public yet. I can miniaturize the photograph, and I can easily work with 5-10 million photographs simultaneously.
And you can do different things to them at the same time, or like they need to be like, let's get 10,000 people with AIDS, let's get 5,000 people with cancer. Like, what? I mean,
in 1 hour, through miniaturized photographs, I can work with 10 million people, and I can identify over 400,000 species of pathogens, identify them, and bring those 400,000 species of pathogens to a state of chaos.
So you can you can cast a wide net.
Yes. Yeah. I envision a global healing ministry. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to work with 1 billion photographs a year.
Wow.
this strikes me almost like, and I'm just, you know, we're all talking about things that are not common, you know, that are not like, but it's like kind of like spells, like you're putting a spell. I know that it's, and I don't mean it as like fiction or nonfiction, or like, I'm just saying in a way, like for people to understand, like it's almost that type of process, at least for the common person that doesn't understand the technology.
And in many ways, Ryan, I would say that's somewhat accurate. Why? Because this is not taught by academia. These instruments are unique. I'm the only one in the world with these instruments. I'm the only one who's followed up with the work of Galen Hieronymus. So I'm the only one. And with that in mind, I have to teach this to the world. It's an arduous task. How do I present this to mankind?
Right.
Can you identify? So, I mean, I know that I'm interjecting humor here, but I'm taking this very seriously and meaning it very seriously. Like the questions. If you're working with someone, do you need to be told what my pathogens are or what my issues are, or can you detect them?
I don't detect them. The instrument does. Now, what am I getting at? This instrument is so versatile. It has such great depth, such great intelligence. I don't do any thinking. I literally take a person's photograph or a collection of photographs, and I match them up here with, let's say, the Streptococcus mutans. Now, what's my point? There's two force fields. There's two energy fields, the people, the collage, and this bacteria. So if anybody has the signal, the intelligence of strep mutants, that instrument will destroy that signal. See, we're not working with biology. We're working with signals or intelligence. Strep mutants has a signal or a signature. If that man has strep mutants, this instrument would destroy that signal. Now, what's the point? In 1 hour, I can scan 400,000 photographs of different species of pathogens inside the instrument. And they communicate instantaneously with 1 million or 2 million people instantaneously. So you're just matching up photographs.
The first thing that comes to my mind is COVID. Like, could you just massively eradicate?
I'll say this. This is the experience that I speak of. During COVID, I never caught COVID. I rarely would wear a mask unless I was forced to. My friends and family were very healthy, and nobody went to the hospital. That's my experience, and I stand by that experience. Can I make any other claim? No. When I can, I will. I promise you.
Well, it seems like, whether they give you permission or not, a lot of people's photos are out there.
Yes.
So it seems like you could at least start by just eradicating all disease from everyone on Instagram.
Yeah.
Without their permission.
Yeah. I need their permission. And this is the key. It's really meaningless unless people understand what this process is. This is why I give away 15 days of free sessions. I have nothing to hide. I let people prove it to themselves. I want to be very clear about that.
I'm still not clear, Tom's. Clarity is a good word. If you work with me directly, I mean, I love the world and everyone else, but it's a disease of me in this 15 days. Let's say, God forbid, I have a tumor inside me right now. Hate to be that guy to say these things. And all that. I'm not manifesting it for the love of God, but are you helping identify that I have that? Or are you just throwing everything at it to eradicate this in case he has that, eradicate that in case he has this? Or again, are we identifying what is there and eradicating it? Or are we hoping that we're eradicating certain things?
My specialty is pathogens, microbes. Working through a photograph of a microbe, the key is the photograph. There's no human reasoning. The photograph will instruct the instrument. I don't work with tumors with cancer.
So when you say you have my picture in the strep virus or bacteria, I don't know which strep is there, on the flip side, is there a way to give someone a bacteria or virus?
That's a good question. No, I don't know how to create DNA. No.
So this is working on energy. Does this also incorporate frequency? I think you said that with the wavelengths.
I don't use the word frequency because it really implies the propagation of energy from one point to another. Scalar energy is everywhere. So really it's non-Hertzian. There's no frequency involved. Electricity is Hertzian. This is non-Hertzian because energy is everywhere. Scalar energy is everywhere. So you don't deliver it from point A to point B. It permeates the universe.
Right.
Does it have to be like a recent photograph, or could it be like me as a child?
Very good question. The age of the photograph doesn't matter because you're transcending time and space. In a scalar energy environment, your signature is the same whether you're 1 year old or 20 or 100 years old. So that in and of itself proves time travel. People send me their photographs that's 2 or 3 years old. Their photograph from 2 to 3 years ago will time travel to the present moment.
Wow.
This is so cool.
Something. I'm not sure what word to apply to it. But I'm going to do that 15 days, Tom. I'm going to tell you that right now. We're filming all that shit, and we're either going to get you real fucking famous or I don't know.
Here's the bottom line. Go to my website. There's 4,000 testimonies like this. I'm going to show another.
Oh, I don't care about them. I care about me.
Well, okay, I get you. Why would people send me testimonies, and in their words, they tell me they no longer have a viral load, or that they no longer have some type of skin irritation? They've never visited me. 99.99% of the people I never meet. I only have their photographs. So this obviously is not medical science. This is a new science of information through the photograph. I want to make this clear to your audience. I'm not a medical professional. I'm a scalar energy researcher. There are two different sciences here. One is Newtonian, right. One is scalar. Two different ways of looking at reality.
Yeah, I get it as good as I can get it, but it still comes down to
how do you feel?
I either have a pathogen or I don't, and you either remove it or you don't.
That's
right?
Correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. Or the chakra balancing. A lot of people say consider this. Look how bright that is. That's the energy going into your mind, your brain waves. Your brain waves are scalar waves. Many people say they have a surge of energy after the sessions, because if I can illuminate and energize a light bulb, then I should be able to energize a person. Well, I'll let you make that decision.
Could you put Chris's picture on your phone? I know you've already got it saved as a screensaver, but like if you put his picture on the phone and you do your scalar, does that work as well?
Yes, it does, because that photograph is still his signature. That's just as valid as your fingerprint or your DNA.
What about all that Botox and like he does like lots of like treatments on his face? So is that really him, or can it read through all of the surgeries he's had to make himself so pretty?
I'll put it to you this way. If I've been asked that question, it's a good question. Let's say you put makeup on. Your eyes are still photographed, and your eye is unique. You might have some, if you will, makeup on, but by still photographing a person, their eye, their hair, that's unique to that person. The photograph always works.
Good news, Chris. Still work for you.
You can paint the car, but the VIN number stays the same. You know? That's what came in my head.
Yeah. Something like that,
Well, thank God.
I had those bicep inserts, so I guess they won't, won't matter.
Won't deteriorate your scalar energy, deteriorate your bicep implants.
No, I mean, I'm fascinated by this, Tom. Like, I think you have to have a bit, like, my defense mechanism is cynicism and joking a little bit, because I'm taken aback by the potential of this. And the proof's in the pudding. So, I mean, I think we're all about introducing new ideas and new concepts, and you'll have two believers if this 15 days turns out like I think it might. Chris has so many pathogens. We got to get rid of that shit.
Get it out of me, Tom. Clear me out.
But, okay, so pathogens. So I'm just thinking of like other things, like, people that are, have addictions or other issues that they are prone to. Is this even in the same realm, or is that just something different altogether?
I will say some people with addictions, whether it's cigarettes, drugs, recreational, even pharmaceutical products, that chakra balancing changes their thinking sometimes, and it makes them less prone to smoke or drink or take drugs. So keep in mind, this is corrective energy. Not only is it a lot of bright energy, it's corrective energy. And if you correct the psyche, if you correct that that the conscious, so people can distinguish themselves right and wrong, or they are no longer inclined to take drugs. Yeah, it helps some people. I've had some friends tell me, personal friends, that they no longer drink excessively. That one alcoholic drink is enough for them because they no longer have that desire for multiple drinks. Well, obviously, I didn't program their mind that way. The energy did. So this is why I want to make this very clear. It's not me that's programming the energy. I believe the energy is from God, and that God will correct an addiction.
I believe it.
Yeah.
It
I mean, I
makes
believe
sense.
it when I see it, but I believe that you believe it.
Oh, well, that's why we're going to do this 15-day trial. And
That's what I'm saying.
But I feel very confident in it.
If you visit my website, there's 4,000 testimonies from around the world.
So, say I sign up for your 15-day trial. Tomorrow's day one. Are you like emailing me like, okay, we're starting right now, the session begins?
Yes. For 15 days, we'll send you emails and we'll explain to you the process. That's very important, that you have a valid email, because we want to go through this step by step and educate you. Yes.
What happens after the 15 days, Tom? I think, a lot of people are like me, like a little skeptical, like, okay, all right, I'll try it. So 15 days, then what? Like, what happens after that?
We leave it up to people if they want to go on. If people want to continue, we have a month-long program for $89. My position is to give everybody in the world at least one free session. That's the only way I can introduce this novel concept to mankind.
Yes.
Wow. It's unbelievable.
I know.
That because I like what you said, Ryan, like, how do you scale this? And it sounds like it's very relatively easy to scale. It's just a matter of how many hours in the day.
Exactly. If somebody handed me 1 million photographs tomorrow, I'd work with 1 million photographs or 5 million photographs. The key is educating people to get people to send their photograph for the 15-day trial. That's the key.
Wow. Sounds like, I don't know why anyone wouldn't try it. Like, what's the downside?
Yeah.
But it's almost like one of those things like meditation, right? Like, I heard for years, try meditating or journaling. And it's one of those things that kind of goes in one ear and out the other until you really need it. And you're kind of at your wit's end, probably. At least that was my case. And I find benefit from that, but it was something that I kind of overlooked because it seems too simple. And I could see people having the same, stance on this. I know I did sound bowl therapy, and the girl would do a chakra reading with a computer where I'd put my fingertips in. It would kind of show my chakras and where I was imbalanced and whatnot. And that's where I really kind of became a believer in the energy, that there's a lot going on outside of the physical. What do you find is the biggest pushback when you talk to people about this? What's the skepticism?
It's never been done before. A lot of people say, well, why aren't other people doing this? Well, it's obvious. Sure. I'm the only one with the instrument. I'm the only one that followed up with the work of Dr. Hieronymus. And to this day, I am surprised why other scalar energy researchers have not devoted the time to this. I look at the potential here. It's gigantic. Well, that's the case.
I love it. You're just scientists in your lab healing the world one photograph at a time, man. It's super interesting.
I'm blessed.
Picture says 1,000 words.
Hey, that's the truth.
Tom, I know you've mentioned it several times, but talk where everybody can keep up with everything you're doing.
Website is Scalar Light, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Read our testimonies, look at our evidence. I've written probably 300 articles. And then if you're comfortable sending your photograph, you can send your entire family with their permission and include your pets. And if you have 2 or 3 people in your family and you have a dog that you can monitor your dog's health, there's no placebo effect with a dog. The dog doesn't realize that they're being worked on by way of their photograph.
Oh, you're going to get the whole family and all the dogs from me, Tom. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. Storm is going to live to 100 for sure.
Hey, I hope so.
We appreciate it, Tom. Appreciate your battling through some of my cynicism, but it is fascinating. And we are here to shine light on alternative methods. And you're going to get 15 days from at least me. I know that. So I'm going to, I mean, I'm intrigued, so that's all I can say.
Okay. Fair enough. Let the proof be in the pudding.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Hey guys, you know where to find us, the vacaypodcast.com. Search for Scalar Energy. You'll find all the highlight clips from today. And we'll have the show notes that have all the places you can learn more about Tom, everything that he's doing, and of course, where you can find Chris and I on social media. For Chris Hansen, I'm Ryan Alford. We'll see you next time on the Vacay Podcast.